I always hear people saying they wish they bought stocks like Microsoft or Amazon or Netflix, Nvidia, or even Apple early when the stock was just a few dollars instead of after it's up 100,000% or more. A lot of people have the opportunity to buy assets like these in the early days, but they don't because number one, they don't take the opportunity seriously. They don't look into it. They don't study the asset. They don't really care. Or number two, they just fully ignore it. And they're more focused on the other parts of their lives, like making money, going to their job, trying to keep up with the Joneses. If you look at a stock like Apple, for example, you can see that 16 years after going public, it was still only 34 cents and it started off at 13 cents. So it went from 13 cents all the way up to 53 cents at one point, and then it came all the way down to 34 cents again. You can see that here 16 years later. You can also see with a stock like Nvidia in January of 1999, it was only 4 cents. And 16 years later, it's only about 50 cents. Netflix also did something similar with its price being $1.21 in May of 2002 and $142 in January of 2017. It still grew from that point, but not as much as the other ones. Now let's take a look at Amazon. In May of 1997, the stock was 9 cents, and in May of 2013, it was only $12.90. And after that, it grew another 1,725%. Now let's take a look at that last stock that I mentioned, Microsoft. In March of 1986, it was only 10 cents. And in March of 2002, it was $30. So it did grow quite a bit from that first price, but it hadn't even close to reached its peak, which was another 1,453%. I'm talking about the first 16 years of these assets being public because today you can buy Bitcoin, which is also 16 years old, and it's just getting started. The very first block on Bitcoin's network was mined on January 3rd, 2009, and since then we've had 881,000 blocks added to the Bitcoin blockchain. Bitcoin started trading in July of 2010, and there was no market price. So people were moving them from one address to another, and there was no price associated with each trade or each move from one wallet to another. The very first trade of Bitcoin for physical goods was 10,000 Bitcoin for 2 pizzas delivered from a Papa John's in Florida. At that point, 1 Bitcoin was worth a fraction of a penny, so $0.0025. So that's 0.25 cents per Bitcoin. And we can see here today that the price is at $102,000. Today, you have the opportunity to buy an asset like Bitcoin 16 years after it was discovered. As an example, we know that Microsoft grew 1,337% in the last 23 years. Amazon is up 1,700%, and Nvidia is up 22,700%. One of the major differences between all of the companies that I listed and Bitcoin is that not everybody in the world has access to all of the companies that I mentioned. First of all, you need a brokerage account. You need to be connected to the US dollar financial system. You need to have all of these prerequisites before you can buy stocks. Most of the people in continents like Asia or Africa aren't buying US stocks, so that pretty much excludes the majority of the world. A very small portion of the world has access to stocks because stocks are centralized. There's a very small number of institutions who can grant you access to buying these stocks and getting exposure to their price appreciation. With an asset like Bitcoin, because it's global money, every single person on earth has access to it as long as they have an internet connected device. More and more people are connected to the internet every single day, and there are already more people connected to the internet than there are to the US financial system. So what exactly does this mean? I think that the price that we see today is eventually going to be a rounding error. We're going to see Bitcoin at $1 million. We're going to see Bitcoin at $10 million. We're going to see Bitcoin at $100 million and beyond. A lot of people want to stay away from Bitcoin because of these massive day-to-day fluctuations. For example, Bitcoin was at $108,000 on December 17th, 2024, and it dropped to $92,000 by December 20th, 2024. These people who want to wait for Bitcoin's price to stabilize are going to miss out on all of the massive returns that are a result of the volatility we're seeing today. We can see at one point in May of 2016, Bitcoin's price was $454. If we look at the last 5 days of movement, we can see that Bitcoin's price fell more than it was worth in May of 2016. And this is what I mean by these prices are going to eventually be a rounding error. We're going to see Bitcoin's price moving by $100,000, $200,000, $500,000 a day. We're going to see it moving by millions of dollars a day when there's real adoption coming in. Today, most people have no allocation to Bitcoin because they're scared. They're worried that it's going to zero. They haven't put any time into researching it or learning how it works, learning about the infrastructure, learning about mempool, learning about addresses. All of these are really important topics, and they've spent no time learning about them. I think the best years are ahead of us, and we haven't even seen close to where Bitcoin is going so far. If you're letting these small moves of $1,000, $2,000, $5,000 shake you out, you're definitely not going to make it to the finish line. As an example here, we can see that Amazon's price went from $5.64 in December of 1999 all the way down to 29.6 cents in October of 2001. So that's a drop of about 95%. If we zoom out, we can see what that peak looks like down here compared to where the stock is today. I can guarantee you that there are probably people who sold down here that never bought back and now they're kicking themselves. So first of all, you need to have the conviction to actually understand the asset. Then you need to buy it. And then you need to have the conviction to hold it through that volatility. What I think is that most people who own Bitcoin today don't actually understand it. They have no idea what they own. They have no idea where this thing is going. They own Bitcoin as a part of a diversified portfolio. But when you study Bitcoin and you understand where this is going, and you see that this thing has an inelastic supply, you can pretty much see where this is going. $1 million, $10 million, $100 million is inevitable because the amount of dollars in the system is infinite. Bitcoin is going to millions of dollars with or without you. It doesn't matter if you own it. It doesn't matter if you care, if you don't care. Eventually, you're probably going to own it as part of your portfolio and you're going to buy it at much, much higher prices. If you don't take action today, if you don't start studying it, I'm not even telling you to buy it. Just learn what it is. Try to pay attention to what it is. Watch all my videos. I've gotten so deep into this topic that I can keep talking about it for days. Watch my videos. Go through everything that I post. You're going to learn a lot. Put in the time to figure out where this is going today, and I guarantee you that you're not going to regret it. And I'm just going to give you some numbers here so maybe you can set some goals for yourself, whatever you want to do. If you want to accumulate a certain amount of Bitcoin based on these numbers, that would be great. So we can see here, one Bitcoin can be split into 100 million Satoshis. The total supply of Bitcoin will be 21 million, and this number is going to be reached in 2140. The lost Bitcoin estimate today is about 1.5 million, and this is from River. There are other estimates that say that there are more lost. The other estimates have said 3 to 5 million, but I wanted to be conservative here, so let's go with 1.57 million. The total circulating supply today is 19.8 million Bitcoin. So if we take a look at this supply schedule here, we can see that every 10 minutes, there's a certain amount of Bitcoin being created. Every 4 years, the amount of Bitcoin being created is decreasing by 50%. So in 2140, we're going to have 100% of the supply issued. Today, about 94% of the supply is issued. And in 2034, 2035, 99% of the supply will have been issued. The global population today is about 8 billion people. So if we split this Bitcoin between everybody in the world, we can see that at 25% adoption, each person would have just under 1 million Satoshis if we divided it equivalently between every single person. So if 2 billion people adopted Bitcoin, if 4 billion people adopt Bitcoin, you're going to get just under 500,000 Satoshis. If 75% of the world adopts Bitcoin, so 6 billion people, you'd have about 330,000 Satoshis. And if 100% of the world adopts Bitcoin, so everybody in the world adopts it, you're only going to get about 250,000 Satoshis. Today, you can buy this amount, 0.002475 Bitcoin, for about $250, and you can put it in a wallet and you can just forget about it. If you want to go a little further, you can go ahead and put 0.01 Bitcoin in a wallet and just forget about it. 20 years from now, it'll be worth a lot more. Having 1 Bitcoin or 100 million Satoshis is going to be absolutely insane because it's mathematically impossible for 99.9% of the world to be able to buy this amount of Bitcoin. So what I would say is start with a small amount and over time study Bitcoin and increase your conviction. I guarantee you that you're going to want more and more and more. Even if 95% of the world doesn't adopt Bitcoin, the price is going to go up because the people who own it, the people who already understand it, are still buying more. For example, we have companies like MicroStrategy, or we have companies like BlackRock buying thousands of Bitcoin every single day. I'm 100% certain that there's a lot less Bitcoin available to be bought at these prices than we think there is, and most people are going to hold to the million, $2 million, $5 million level. The best thing you can do for your family right now is accumulate Bitcoin, set it aside, and make sure it's available for you whenever you need it. Don't let go of this opportunity. This is only going to happen once.